We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Friday, and we have the good fortune of having yet another guest today. And it's Denise. And I say this with all due decency. I keep wanting to call you History Girl, and I know somebody's going to give me shit about it. I don't think you'd give me shit about it because you understand where it's coming from. It's not intending to diminish you. It's
No,
just that I'm an old man, and anybody that's under 50 is a fucking girl to me, okay? Or a boy. So that's just the way it is. But I was glad you reached out today and you said you wanted to come on. And it's just a short while since you've been on last, so I'm glad you're coming more frequently. But I had to believe there was something that kind of lit the candle a little bit for you to want to come back on. Something sparked an interest in you that's going on.
yeah, because there's just a whole lot of crap that seems like it lines up, but yet it doesn't. I don't know. It's really weird. It, I don't get it. Like there's something going on here that we don't know. And there has to
Reg-
be.
regarding,
I don't know. Pick it anything because somehow this ice shooting has a link to the Charlie Kirk case.
it does seem as, I mean, that's what I've said in this before is that when you look at the assassination attempt, when you look at the Charlie Kirk things, when you look at the ICE shooting, there seems to be a lot of clumsy, unprofessional looking responses from our government regarding these things. And a lot of the situations all play out the same. It's always a young guy from a distance, from a different building shooting at the person. It's just, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if I'm looking at this critically,
Right. And
questions.
the new DA there in Virginia, the new what is she, the district attorney of Virginia they just appointed, that the Barbie girl.
The one that's going to now carry on the prosecution. That also happened earlier today. James Comey was indicted by Donald Trump. And what's interesting about that is this happened in 2020, what he's claiming, perjury and obstruction. That's what they indicted him for. A couple of things to note. Um, he took it to the prosecutors to take to the grand jury. The prosecutor said, very much here. There's really not much here. So he goes out and gets this Barbie doll lawyer, much like Alina Habba or like the other ones. But what was interesting about this whole thing is that the statute of limitation was going to run out in about 3 days. So they were in a rush to get this thing done. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So we'll start with her. Actually, first, I want to clear something up from last week because I read through the comments on YouTube and I think I need to make myself a bit more clearer. One, I was not asking anyone to have sympathy for MAGA or for Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Uh, and people thought, I think they got that opinion. I don't have sympathy for them either. So I'm not asking any of you guys to have sympathy. I'm just trying to explain that MAGA is not in lockstep with Trump, and there are a lot of people leaving. And I've actually got screenshots of comments that I've seen. So this Charlie Kirk thing has broken MAGA further. And the memorial service, if you could fucking call it that, made it worse for them.
Yeah.
But I don't want anyone, I'm not asking for anybody to have sympathy. What I am saying is we have to give them time to come out of this. Like they are in a psychosis. I don't think people realize this. Cults play with your mind.
Yeah.
And for you to come out of that cult, your ego shatters because you were so wrong.
Well, I think a lot of people think that, oh, I know people think this. If you're dealing with anything Trump-fuck, if you're not attacking, you're wrong or you're going to be canceled or whatever. And what she's saying, this is where the critical thinking comes in. You have to look at the situation. You have to decide what's the best way to handle it from our side. And it may not be always attacking. It may be letting them implode on themselves and let them tear themselves apart. That's just being smart as how to handle it. There's one other person that I had to kind of straighten out who was in the comments. And she said, I don't like how Denise was supporting, what's her name?
Candace Owens.
Candace Owens, right? Yeah. I don't like her and I don't think she should support her. I go, I don't think you grasp what she was saying because she's not a supporter of Candace Owens. She was just intrigued or compelled by the fact that Candace Owens was saying some things that those of us on the left might say, that's kind of a good question. We were surprised that she would do that.
Well, and what drew me to Candace Owens was I knew she was friends with Charlie Kirk. So I was curious what she was going to say about him.
Hmm.
I don't support Candace Owens. Dear God. Eh, no. And she's nuts. Like don't get me wrong. She's totally wackadoodle. But she had an excellent timeline of events that she
Right.
backed up with video evidence. So she did her homework. Like it, I I couldn't get beyond that because she did a really good job. She laid it out really well. And I was glad I listened to her because I got a better understanding of it because Cash Patel has no timeline.
No.
The governor, I mean, this was the first person who I had seen had put it in a like 12, this happened. This happens at 1:20. This happens, and you got video evidence showing. That's all I saw was the that she laid it out in a way that I was like, oh, now I could like organize it and see how that day played out.
Right. And then we can recognize, you can recognize, I can recognize what she was doing by giving these reports is exactly what you were talking about, helping to break apart MAGA. So there comes a point when you watch somebody breaking apart MAGA, even though it's Candace Owens, you can say, yeah, you go, girl. Just go ahead.
Right. Just go ahead because she was doing really well. And she was saying this administration is not being upfront. They're not transparent about anything. And then I
Somebody
told
who
you,
supported them to all ends is now going contrary. Shut up and let them keep talking.
right. And she told MAGA the left is not the enemy. She's like, stop thinking of them as the friggin' enemy. They're not the enemy. She's like, and we're going to need them. If we want to defeat this administration, we need the left. And she also said it again because I listened to her again because again, she has good info and I have some more info I want to kind of go over. But she, like I said, she was like, listen, we need to all unite together. She's like, because we all live in this country together.
Odd coming from a Trumplafuck.
Right. It's odd, but there are a lot more right-leaning people that are saying, hey, this is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good. And I think it's important that the left get this info. I also think it's important that we try to go into the comments and instead of attacking them and calling them like Hawk calls them fart huffers, instead of doing that, going in and being like, hey, I'm glad you're kind of coming around. I'm ready to work. And just like put it out there. Because unfortunately, we need them to get the hell out of this mess. Once we get
True.
out of this mess, we can continue hating them. I don't care. I just need us to get this administration out before it becomes too late, and we can't.
Well, and that's what people don't, I think, don't understand. If they think, oh, let them, if I say let them go, or maybe even assist them on something, they think, oh, you've gone over to the dark side. You're
No.
their friend. No, this is what we do in business. This is what we do in sports. If somebody is benefiting you, you give them a little push and let them do it. Handle it smartly. Don't work against yourself. When it's all said and done, I'm not going to trust them. I'm not going to like them, but I'm going to use what I need now to get out of the problem we have. And
And
that
you have
sounds pretty sketchy, but that's me, motherfucker.
Right. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
You have to understand that.
Temporarily.
Right. And I also think people on the left don't understand. These people have been taught since birth that the left are evil people.
Hmm.
They think we want to hurt them. They believe that we want them dead.
Some of them.
Okay. And right, there are a few. And but when you are told that over and over and over again, you grow up fear. They live in fear. I don't think we quite get that, but they live in fear. And a lot of it has to do with the evangelical religion. Those people fear everything, holy hell. And that's why they're angry people, because anything that's fun, they fear.
Right.
And I
And,
don't think the left gets that either.
well, and I'm glad that we didn't go through the rapture like the evangelicals promised us on the 23rd. Uh, People kept going, "Oh my God, it's going to happen. I'm selling my house. I'm selling my car." And I didn't believe anybody could be really that stupid to do it. But I talked to Old Soul's brother, and they work with a community of people. They actually went and bought a truck from somebody who was going to get raptured and got a hell of a deal on it because they didn't have a use for it. I'm guessing they wish they had the truck now, but if Old Soul's brother out there, don't give it back to him. You cut a deal, you keep that fucking truck.
Some lady made a TikTok video and she's like, listen, I just bought a car from somebody who's getting raptured. If it doesn't happen, I'm not returning your car.
Right, right,
So, yeah, the rapture was crazy. Absolutely crazy. But let's go back to that thing that they called memorial service.
right.
Um,
Charlie Kirk's memorial service.
that was not a memorial service. That was a hate rally,
It
plain
was.
plain and simple. Um, and the reaction from MAGA was not what I expected.
What kind of reaction did you see?
Well, let me pull it out here because I took screenshots. And by the way, you all need to follow the girl. She goes by Cult College. Go follow her because she is where I'm getting a lot of my info from, and she has receipts. Okay,
Yeah, I
I
heard a
can,
lot of people talking about that after you mentioned that in the last one. I've been kind of trying to follow her as well. I mean, see, that's the
and
thing
there's a
is there's a
knitting
lot of
cult
people
lady too.
knitting cult lady.
Okay, so I'm gonna read, I won't read all of them because there's a lot, but Christian conservative here, and something feels off to me, almost disingenuous, which is crazy to write. But this is a fallen world and anything's possible. Listen, I try not to judge, but something about Erica has hit me wrong since her first speech after his death. And then perhaps it was the cheers from the crowd after Trump said he hates his opponents.
Right.
True Christians know that statement is in direct opposition to the command to love our enemy. Now, dear God, you see that in Trump that it's against that, but you don't see how you hate the left, and that would be in start. These people are full of hypocrisy. As a Trump supporter, that made me so angry that he said that. And I'm like, can you just be for 1 minute humble? No, he
Talk about
can't.
Charlie as opposed to himself. That's where he
Right.
has a problem.
And then it said Erica is giving actress Handler vibes.
Yeah.
They um there's a side angle here. There's a side angle of Erica during her speech. What I found odd is in moments she's clearly trying desperately to keep her composure. She backs away from the podium, bows her head, or looks to God. Her hands never clench. Even when she grabs the edges of the podium, she's holding on, but it's too relaxed in the hand. I don't know that relaxed is the right word. It's off. It's disconnected. The emotion on display feels disjointed from the emotion not on display. And then here's another good one, because this is another one that I have questions about this. We haven't heard a peep out of his blood relatives, like his apolitical parents, his politically left progressive younger sister. Very strange that his own family has allowed MAGA to fake sudden ownership of him and use him for their political agenda. And that's what it was. Um, they something's off with the wife, something is off with the whole thing, really. Um, Stephen Miller scared them. Stephen Miller's speech scared them to death. Stephen Miller
Oh yeah.
scares me. It's like you can see the hate coming off of him in like a heat wave. Um,
But
let's
Charlie
see.
Kirk or Stephen Miller didn't even try to be anything but coming off like a dictator himself. Everything he talks about is negative. Everything he talks about is violent. This is not a good human being. This is somebody at the core is just black on the inside.
And here, I think we need to come together. Um, yeah, is he the guy that kept acting like we need to have a revolution, almost fist pounding the podium while he talked? That's Stephen Miller. Some of them don't know who Stephen Miller is, which I found weird.
Yeah.
100% he was spewing hate and anger towards an entire party. And the part when he was saying they are nothing and will leave behind nothing, I thought this is way out of line. Um, yeah, they're not. Stephen Miller scared him. Even when they said his Lord and Savior. So you're saying he's not yours? Last I checked, he died for all men. And then sow division and violence. They're picking it up.
Well, we know something about Trumplafucks. They are quick to judgment and can turn on a dime. And ultimately, that's kind of what happens with people dealing with bullies and narcissists. Once they get close enough and they see the cracks, they immediately bail on them. And I think we're starting to see that. You brought up Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk. And I said that from the beginning. When the first time I saw her speak after he died, shortly after he died, I said, this is weird because she seems too practiced. She seems too articulate. She seems too educated to be in a group and married to a man who looks at her as a cook and a dishwasher. I mean, that's what he said about women. She seems to have more potential than that. And then I start hearing the stories about her. And I believe these are all true. First of all, she was in one pageant in her life when she was 17 years old. It was a Trump pageant, and she won it. If you take a look at some of the pictures from the pageant and in the bikinis and stuff, she was a very attractive, hot woman. Charlie Kirk was a dweeb. Let's just be honest. He was a dweeb. So how they ever got together, I'm not exactly sure. But over and above her connection to Trump, and that apparently goes back a number of years. You kind of got that impression when they hugged on stage that they've known
Hmm.
each other longer than a half hour.
Yeah.
But then we hear the story of how she starts her ministry at like 18 years old. Who trusts an 18-year-old with a ministry? Anyway, she goes to Romania in order to help children. And there's a name for it. I can't remember what it is, but she goes there to help children. But then the country of Romania, the government of Romania, kick her out because there's been an inordinate amount of kids going missing. Now, I'm not saying she did anything, but the country of Romania thought there might be, and they kicked her out of the fucking country because of it. This is just all weird shit about a woman who's supposed to be this dowdy, compliant wife to Charlie Kirk. There's more to her than what meets the eye, and I don't even know what that means.
Well, I'm gonna throw another little tidbit at you. She was in that beauty pageant with someone else.
Ooh.
The brand new prosecutor that was hired for Virginia, Lindsay
Oh
Halligan.
shit. Oh shit.
And
Just
oh, it doesn't stop there. They went to college together too.
wow. Did they go to Liberty College or something? I think she went to Liberty for a period anyway.
There's a Jesuit school that they went to first, I think.
Okay.
Erica's been to many colleges because she's got a doctorate and like two bachelors, I think.
Yeah.
So she's
Yeah.
done it at a couple different schools.
And so this so people understand James Comey gets indicted. Prosecutors say there's no case here, so they have to have somebody to take it to the grand jury. So Donald Trump pulls up this woman. What's her name again?
Lindsay Halligan.
Lindsay Halligan. She looks like all the other lawyers. She's young, she's attractive, she's inexperienced. This woman is so inexperienced. Now she's a prosecutor, but she was an insurance fraud lawyer and never prosecuted a case in her life. Yet she's the one bringing this case to the grand jury regarding James Comey. Now,
Yeah.
understand that grand juries are known to indict a fucking ham sandwich. So all you have to do is make a little bit of a premise as a prosecutor. There is no defense there, so it's not that hard. But she brings it in to get the indictment, and now they have to take it back to the prosecutors who just told them there's nothing here. So this is going to be very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets dismissed before it even goes to court.
I'm kind of thinking the same thing. So yeah, and she apparently the news introduced her that she used to be Trump's personal lawyer.
Really?
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow. They all have been Trump's personal lawyer. You know, the guy from the DOJ, Pam Bondi, they all have been his personal lawyers.
Well, he gets around.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Now, so this is bonkers. Like Erica's past is crazy, and here's what I think. And stop me if you think I'm running a red light. I think she was helping get girls before Jeffrey met Ghislaine Maxwell.
Erica
I think that's why Romania had her leave. I think those kids were going to Epstein.
could be. I mean, kids going mission. She's down there. Romania thinks she's doing something. It's theoretical, but Erica's much younger than Ghislaine. And I think Ghislaine's been around for a while. So maybe, here's the thing about Jeffrey
But he met
Epstein.
Ghislaine when they were later in life. He didn't like meet her when she was really young.
That's true. Well, here's the thing. I think Ghislaine was his number two, kind of
Hmm.
dealing before it got to Jeffrey Epstein. It's my contention there were a lot of people that were recruiting. Some people even think Donald Trump was recruiting,
I
which
think
would
that
make,
the beauty pageant was.
there you go. You have beauty pageant. Why does Donald Trump own a beauty pageant? Because he likes beautiful women? Maybe. But maybe there's something else to it. Again, all of these things we're talking about, if this were 10 years ago, you fucking conspiracy crazy motherfuckers. But you have to consider it now, given the crazy shit we've already seen.
And and that's the thing. Like we have to consider this, and I feel like we're going down like a conspiracy rabbit hole, but in all honesty, are we really? Because when you look at the shit that's happened and look at how okay, so no one knew who Erica Kirk was
No, not
before
in the
Charlie
least.
Kirk was killed. Now, some people on the right may have known her because he did give speeches with Erica.
Hmm.
Because I found a couple of those online. So there were times when they were together. She also did a podcast with him. Like she came on as a guest on his podcast. So in conservative circles, they probably knew of her,
Right.
okay? And now all of a sudden, she's here and like in our face, and lo and behold, wouldn't you know, she's connected to fucking Donald Trump. Like,
Yeah.
what are the goddamn odds that his wife was in a beauty pageant where her sharp photo is taken with a wall that says behind her, Trump, 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 Trump?
Right.
Like, this shit seems like it's a fucking movie because this is too convoluted to be real life.
Well, and if it
Like,
wasn't just that, if it was just that, that'd be crazy. But then you throw in the fact that what you said is his new lawyer was in a pageant with her, went to school with her, is of similar age, and probably has some kind of relationship. Here's my contention, and this is just pure speculation, but I know how the right works. Charlie Kirk was a guy just going around doing talks. Okay. He wasn't hugely popular. Nobody knew who he was at first,
no.
but he was articulate. He was young. He was, presentable. And somebody said, some talent scout, somebody with some money said, oh, this could be the future of our little thing. So the billionaire puts a bunch of money into him, starts putting him on a bigger stage, starts promoting him. Donald Trump is involved to some extent, or at least they're using Donald Trump to help promote this guy. I think there was a concerted effort to bring this guy to the forefront, build the brand, and make him a powerful guy. And at least with the Trump-a-fucks, he was powerful, but they wanted to make it bigger than that. I think that had something to do with it. That sounds very suspicious, but that's how Republicans work.
Well, here's another thing that sounds suspicious because I forgot about this too. I've watched so many videos. My head's gonna explode. Um, so before Charlie Kirk and Erica met, apparently, apparently they were both in Israel at the same time
Really?
and like saw each other, with a look, but then never talked to each other or anything else.
Mm,
And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, he calls Erica up for a job interview at the behest of people on his team.
right, right.
So, and then the story goes is that he wanted to invite her to dinner, or he invited her to dinner in New York. And by the time they were done with dinner, he said he wanted to date her. He didn't want to hire her, he wanted to date her. But
Right.
then I heard that she had said, she was in her head thinking, I'm not going to work for you, I'm going to date you. And I don't know which story is accurate because they've both, so I don't know. The whole thing is fishy to me.
It is very fishy. Now, you said something earlier to me, maybe it was off before we came on. You said you sent something similar or tied to the Charlie Kirk assassination to this recent ICE attack.
Oh, yeah. It's the same gun,
Same kind of gun, really?
same kind of gun. It's the exact same kind of gun.
Wow.
What are the odds of that?
Yeah, that's interesting. And you know what struck me funny about this thing? This happened within minutes. FBI, Donald Trump are saying it's the libtards, it's the libtards. Again, it was too easy for them to say that. We knew it wasn't going to be a liberal, but they started saying it. And it seems to me Kash Patel comes out with a picture of the shells. Now he said anti-ice was engraved on one of the shells. When you look at it, it was more like a Sharpie on the shells. Here's the thing, the whole idea of putting names on shells is from Old West movies or World War II movies where they put Hitler's name on the bombs. Have
Hmm.
you ever heard of anybody in the last 30 years put names on? No, you didn't. Two times in less than a couple of weeks, it happened twice. That
Hmm.
sounds a little suspicious. They had the ones in the assassination and they tried to make it a transgender thing. That didn't play out. So now this happens in this detention camp and they say it has anti-ice on it. Now see to me that just seems fucking lazy. You got a kid 29 years old and he wants to send a message and he writes anti-ice. That sounds like something Stephen Miller came up with. It would be more like fuck ice, take this ice, whatever. It just seems too too convenient and it seems awkward.
Oh, even MAGA is like, this is not, they're like, this is not right. They're
No,
like, this shooting is not, they're like, I don't think it's a lefty. They're like, and they're like, you wrote text messages that sounded like they were written in 1852, and
right.
now you got bullets that look like they were written in 1985. So it's not like they don't even buy it. Like Cash Patel can't even plant evidence correctly.
And that's what it seems like to me. I mean, here's a guy who came out and said, "We got him." Oh, no, we don't have him. We got him. No, we don't have him. And then we got him, and he's transgender, which is not true. And, it's just he's working overtime to try to pin it on the libtards. And to be honest with you, first of all, people say, "Well, he only killed detainees." Well, he shot in a building. He's not that good at aim where he hit only detainees, but there's a lot more detainees than there are officers. The guy got lucky, he didn't hit an officer. But when they talked to his brother on NBC, they go, he never said anything about ICE. He wasn't upset about ICE. He wasn't even political. I don't know what the premise it was for, why he did it, but I believe we're never going to get the true answer from the FBI.
Because I don't think he did it. I think this is a setup. Because
You think the guy that was dead and laying next to the bullets did not do it?
the
Because if
guy
that's the case, we're talking serious movie shit.
like that I'm telling you, I don't think this guy that they have for the ICE detention thing, I don't think he did it. I think he did it, but I think he was set up to do it.
Okay. And he
Because
was, well, he's
it
dead because he shot himself, but did he shoot himself?
uh-huh,
If it's set up, did he shoot himself? Nobody's going
right.
to set it up to shoot this and then I'm going to shoot myself and it's what a great plan. That it couldn't have happened that way, but
Isn't it
you're
convenient that he's dead?
it's very convenient. And it was surprising to me that the Charlie Kirk guy wasn't dead.
Uh-huh, that was the other shocker. Now, here's the other connection between this dummy and the Charlie Kirk one. They both have notes. They left notes in their apartment.
Yeah.
Notes. Like my question was when I heard this, I'm like, does Cash Patel have the note or are you taking photos of the note? Because we
Yeah, I
don't
never
have the
understood that
note.
either.
We don't have the note from the Charlie Kirk one. We have a photo of it.
Why wouldn't you take the notes in evidence? I mean, that seems pretty baseline thing you
And
do,
and apparently this guy wrote many notes.
really.
So did he have like post-its on the wall? I mean, was it scraps of paper? This, I'm telling you, when was the last time we had a shooting where somebody left a trail of notes like mice droppings?
Yeah. Well, I've said this before. I think there seems to be a lot of similarities between Donald Trump's attempted assassination, Charlie Kirk's assassination, and this one. They all kind of play out the same way. Some troubled kid is on another building shooting at the target, whether it be another building or Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump. He leaves some notes, but ultimately it's exposed that he's not a liberal. It just seems like a strategy that they're trying to play over and over again. If in fact this is set up, if it's not set up, these three events, talk about some unlucky motherfuckers. This is kind of unprecedented when these kinds of things continually happen.
I think ICE was the ICE detention center, I think was a setup because Donald Trump didn't get his right-wing murderer for Charlie Kirk.
Right.
He was tired of waiting for he didn't or his left-wing murderer. He didn't get that with Charlie Kirk. He was tired of waiting around for a lefty to, get a gun and shoot somebody. So he just did it himself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what I think he did.
If we were looking at Liam Neeson movies, I could say, yeah, that's how this is going to play out. But we're dealing with people that aren't the sharpest people in the world and are desperate to change the narrative. I think they wanted to curry some favor with ICE because everybody hates them in this country, Republicans. It's just odd that this ICE detention center happened to be in the bright red state of Dallas, Texas, as opposed to some blue state. That's another thing I would question. Why did it happen in a red state? If the liberals were truly pissed about it, wouldn't it happen in Massachusetts or California or Minnesota or someplace that's even purple? But we're talking bright red Texas.
Right. Right. Exactly. So I don't buy it because I think if a liberal did it, it would have been in a blue state because the liberals probably living in the blue state. And no
Yeah,
liberal would have wrote anti-ICE on their bullets. They would have wrote fuck ICE, fuck Trump, fuck Stephen Miller.
yeah,
Would not.
exactly.
And then you telling me that this guy came after ICE and he shot three or four people and none of them were ICE?
Yeah, that
You didn't get one, buddy? Just one?
seems weird. I mean, it, logically and odds wise, they're shooting into a building, a nice detention center. There's way more detainees than there are officers. So I guess it's possible by luck that they didn't hit an officer. But it just, here's what we know about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is always quick to fix a problem. You know, if he's mad at somebody like Jimmy Kimmel says something, 2 days later, he's out of his job. He's very reactionary. He's very emotional. So when the Charlie Kirk thing didn't pan out like he'd hoped, like you say, who's to say that he didn't set something like this up? And people will say, that's crazy. There's a dead person there. There's three dead people, a dead person at the assassination attempt, a dead person in Charlie Kirk, and a dead person, um, the shooter in this particular one. Do I think Donald Trump's above taking a little collateral damage? Not after killing a million people with COVID. No, I don't think he cares about that.
No, but like people now, I don't know, people are starting to think that Charlie Kirk was killed because he wanted the Epstein files to come out.
Yeah.
And they think Erica Kirk is tied up in those files.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about that. That would be crazy. You know,
That, but if she was helping traffic kids, she could be part of it, or the fact that Trump knows she's part of it.
yeah.
Like Trump knows she's part of it. So I'm pretty sure that she is worried about Trump's, like, I'm pretty sure Trump called her and said, "Get your husband and shut the fuck up about Epstein."
Did you hear what Donald Trump said leaked out of the White House, kind of tied to this whole thing?
No.
He's kind of frantic because you know now they're going to have the 218th vote so that they can do the discharge.
Yep.
He's freaking out about that. He's calling everybody, don't do this, don't do this. For a guy that wanted it out so badly prior to the election, you got to wonder why he's trying so hard to hide it now. But there was a leak out of the White House, and there's going to be a lot more leaks as time goes on here because people are getting fucking nervous and getting upset. But he said, I don't know why people are so focused on the Epstein files. They should be focusing on the good things we've done. Well, Donnie, you haven't done any good things, so that may be part of the reason. He says, I don't know why they're so focused on this. Do they not understand that 90s the Palm Beach in the 90s was a different time? Essentially confessing to the thing, like saying, well, in the 90s, it was okay to abuse girls. That's the sense you got when he said that. So you can see this guy is skittering around trying to cover his ass. And whenever narcissists are in that position, they always fucking fail. So he's freaking the fuck out now.
How the fuck did we end up on this timeline?
Well, you
This
know,
is some fucked up shit.
this is some fucked up shit. And you know, I feel in doing this podcast with you and I, talking about the things we're talking about, I kind of feel a little like Joe Rogan with far fewer listeners, okay? Because we're going off on tangents and things. But a critical thinker will look at that and try to decide. That's how I do everything. I look at everything, I look at every angle, and then I decide what's the best choice, and then I make my decisions based on what I think is makes most sense. And that's the problem with these situations. They don't make sense. They don't make any sense at all. I mean, what would be the purpose of anybody killing Charlie Kirk? What would be the value in that? He does have young people that he's kind of co-opting and bringing into his cult, but not it's not big enough to really worry about at this point. I really think Charlie initially was being groomed to be the next leader of this MAGA thing because he's the one guy that could probably do it, that could maybe be similar to Donald Trump in being loud and obnoxious and talking. Maybe he got too big for his britches. Maybe Donald Trump just needed a distraction. Because remember, Donald Trump did say in one other leak, he was complaining about the Epstein thing. He goes, "I need just one big thing. I need one big thing." Now, what do we know about when Donald Trump says something? You can say all the bad things about Donald Trump, but when he says something, he does it. I'm going to go after my enemies. I am your retribution. What's he doing right now? He tried to prosecute Letitia. He's trying to prosecute Comey. He does what he says he's going to do, no matter how egregious it is. So, as crazy as this stuff sounds, you have to at least look at it. I'm not saying that all this crazy stuff is happening, but it makes you think.
It does. It does make you think. And to be honest with you, I was once found out Charlie Kirk died, I started thinking about it. What did the left gain by killing him? You know what I mean?
Nothing.
Like,
Nothing.
because Charlie Kirk was not anyone that we even talked about.
No.
I mean, I watch a lot of videos on TikTok and stuff. They're all political. Very few creators even pulled clips from Charlie Kirk's show, unless it was like the time when he's like, well, if there's a black pilot flying the plane,
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure. But again, that I get because it was an egregious comment. But people really left him alone. I mean, the left did not really go after Charlie. It's not like we were using a lot of his videos. Like there's some people you see all the time, like Alex Jones is one, he's out there all the time. There's a couple like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like we're constantly seeing because she said something stupid. But Charlie Kirk really wasn't, I don't think Charlie Kirk was on the left's radar.
No, if it had been Stephen Miller, I'd say, yeah, it could be a liberal. But
Yeah.
I said that before after Charlie Kirk was murdered. I said, I didn't give Charlie Kirk a second thought. I just thought he was one of these kooky podcast bros like Nick Fuentes, and I never really considered them a threat. And now after he gets shot, he's still inconsequential to me. He didn't mean that much to me.
I
So
mean,
you're right. What would the liberals gain from shooting this guy? They wouldn't.
right, they wouldn't. I mean, my when he died, because I'm like, holy shit. I mean, when I turned on the TV and they were like, Charlie Kirk is dead, and I was like, what? And I'm like, crap. I'm like, this is not good. And I'm like sitting down and I'm trying to listen to this news report. And my dad and my husband were like, well, who's Charlie Kirk? And I was like, shut up. I'm like, I want to hear this. And then after I explained who Charlie Kirk was, my husband was like, and why would the left gain anything by killing him? And I'm like, we don't. I'm like, we don't gain anything. Like, it's not like Charlie Kirk was in a position of power.
Well, exactly. And if there
He
was a
had,
liberal crazy enough to kill somebody, it would be somebody of importance, of note, whether it be the president to a senator to a member of Congress. It wouldn't be Charlie Kirk. There's nothing. There'd be no reason for it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like I don't know. He's inconsequential to most Democrats. We've got bigger things, bigger fish to fry, and
well,
he was nothing to us.
right. Look at when Melissa Hortman was killed. I mean, she's the Speaker of the House. She was a Democrat. She got killed with her husband, and then they went to the other Democrat's house and killed, were trying to kill them. They survived, him
Right.
and his wife, and he's a senator, I think. So those people had power.
Right.
They were in positions of power. Charlie Kirk had a fucking podcast, and he went to colleges to debate 19-year-olds being 31 years himself. So
Right.
Charlie Kirk was like not a big deal. I don't think he was a big deal on the right. I don't think he was being groomed to take over MAGA. I just think that if anything happened to Trump, they would gravitate toward him.
That may be, but the thing I also struck me as funny. You never really heard Donald Trump talk about Charlie Kirk. You may have, gave him compliments in passing and stuff. But what struck me so strange is how quickly the Republicans and Donald Trump and everybody in Donald Trump's universe jumped on this Charlie Kirk thing as if he was a U.S. senator or a leader of some sort. They're opportunists. They saw this, here's one way we can own the libtards, and they sure tried. And as they always do, they fucking failed. They didn't see they people like Donald Trump don't care if Charlie Kirk's dead. They saw it as an opportunity to push forward their agenda. It didn't work, which is normally the case. But you have to wonder if the people that truly like Charlie Kirk aren't kind of noticing that too, because where were you before he was killed?
Well, the people who really like Charlie Kirk were basically the MAGA people.
Yeah.
And, they're like, he was, they talk about his faith like all the time, Charlie's faith. And look, I could talk about Jesus all day long,
Mhm.
but it doesn't make me a good person just because I talk about him.
No.
But you have to understand, MAGA does not see when Charlie Kirk said, if the black pilot is flying, I'm gonna second guess that he's qualified to fly. They don't find that to be a racist statement. You
Yeah, you're
have
right.
You have to look at this from MAGA's point of view. They don't find that to be racist. They find that to be something you need to do because this is what our world has come to, apparently. That American Airlines is going to hire a black guy just because he strolled in for the interview, even if he can fly a plane or not. When critical thinking would tell you, hello, they're not going to hire somebody who's not fucking qualified. Because they have, I mean, you know how long it takes to become a pilot? And you have to have so many hours of private flight time before you can even go to try to become a commercial airline pilot. So becoming a pilot takes time. The thing is that there's a shortage of pilots, and there is a shortage of people going to pilot school. So they started to help people of other races become pilots because there was a pilot shortage.
And they did that
So,
with teachers in the 60s too.
right. So they were giving out scholarships and stuff so you could go to pilot school and learn how to fly a fucking plane.
You still had to qualify. You just got an
Right.
opportunity that you may not have had because you didn't have money.
Right. They started to bring this in because white people just weren't going to become pilots.
Right.
For Christ's sake, people, it's really not that hard to like look up. But again, Charlie Kirk probably knew that. I don't think Charlie Kirk is stupid. I think he plays a dumb guy on TV.
Well, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Charlie Kirk had a billionaire come up to him and say, you play this role, you do it this way, and you'll make a lot of money. And he's a young kid, so he says, sure, I'll do that. Then he got caught up in this role he was playing. I don't know that Charlie Kirk was really like the things he said, but he knew every time he said something like, I think it's okay for to lose some people in order to preserve the Second Amendment, or make a racist comment, or make a misogynist comment. You know, you see people, actors or comedians, they'll go up and say things that they know works, isn't necessarily what they believe, you know? And I can see that. You know what I find ironic, though, is Donald Trump and the Republicans are talking about DEI hires and how you're getting non qualified people in these positions because of DEI, which is bullshit. This is coming from the guy who hired Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense, Pam Bondi as the Attorney General, Kash Patel is the leader of the FBI. For fuck's sake, talk about DEI hires. It has nothing. The one advantage that all of them except Kash Patel has is that they're white men. Or Bondi's case, I don't know. She's white and she's kind of freakish looking. I don't think she's human, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not suggesting she looks like a man. I'm suggesting she doesn't look human.
Yeah.
Um, but it's ironic that they would say DEI hires are unqualified when everybody Donald Trump's hired is literally unqualified.
Well, and here's the thing. So let's see if you think this makes sense, because this is what I was thinking. And my husband is like, he goes, I wish you would stop trying to see the good in people who aren't good. And I was like, well, there you go. That's another problem I have. Um, I don't question Charlie's faith in Jesus or God or religion. He was a Christian. I do think he was genuine in that.
Okay.
For some reason, he missed all of the teachings of Jesus. And I'm not sure how that happens, but this is what I think happened. Because if you look at evidence, when this shit show started, when he came down that fucking escalator, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, JD Vance, they were all like, this guy, Nikki Haley, we can't, this guy's an asshole. We can't elect this guy. This guy's crazy. He's nuts. He's stupid. He's bombastic. He's insane. But then Trump starts to get a following because smart people don't like him, but stupid people follow him
Yeah.
right off a cliff. And I think what happened was when Trump won, the right went, huh? And I think people like Charlie Kirk, like Ted Cruz, like Lindsey Graham, like Rand Paul, they were like, okay, well, this is the guy, and we're going to get behind the guy.
Right.
And as Trump does boombastic, crazy ass shit and says crazy ass shit, and the press normalizes it, Republicans started following his lead. And before you know it, everybody now is here. And I honestly don't think that they know how the hell to get off this ride.
Yeah. I'm gonna take your husband's side on this one. You said you don't question Charlie Kirk's faith and belief in Jesus and stuff like this. Let me say this. If you claim to be a Christian, yet you're racist, misogynistic, sexist, and anti Semitic, those are all contrary to the teachings of the Bible and Jesus Christ. So if you believe those things and also claim to be a Christian, I question whether you're truly a Christian. You're cosplaying a Christian, but you're not really, in the bottom line, a Christian. I think that most of these Christians, like the evangelicals, use Christianity as a shield and or a weapon, and it has nothing to do with faith. It has to do with perception. I'm a Christian. I could come out here every day and say I'm a Christian and say horrible shit, and there are some Christian, but he's a good Christian man. No, he's not. because he doesn't believe what he's supposedly taught from the Bible and from Jesus. So how can you be a Christian if you don't follow the rules of Christianity?
Oh no, I'm not saying he was a Christian. I'm saying he believed he was a Christian.
Okay, okay, yeah,
I
fair
I
enough.
am saying that he was rooted in his faith. You know, he prayed, he went to church, like he did all those things. And I think he honestly felt like he was a Christian. To him, he was being a Christian because the hate has been preached to them.
True.
They are so far off the mark of Jesus, they can't even see it. And I'm telling you, if the rapture had happened and they had seen a Middle Eastern guy with long hair come out of the clouds to take him home, they would have went inside and gotten their guns and tried to kill him
Yeah.
because he was an immigrant and he was brown, and they would have probably asked him for his papers. So again, they believe that they are Christians because they have this idea that because they believe in Jesus, they've accepted Jesus into their heart, that they're going to heaven. So they don't really care what happens here on earth. Like they don't give a shit because they're going to live the good life in heaven. The problem is that I don't think they know how far they've come from the teachings of Christ because this shit is preached to them from little on. Like from little on, they are taught this shit.
No, it's weird is when you talk about them not caring about living or dying and stuff, it reminds me of what we were dealing with at one time, the suicide bombers. I'm going to go tape bombs to my body. I'm going to blow up people for the cause. And then I get to go home and have my 73 virgins. I always thought that was ironic. You're going to heaven, but you got a bunch of concubines waiting for you. I don't think that's how it works out. But no, I think that's true. People get so caught up in what they think is the message. And that was what was so surprising. As I was watching these people on TikTok talking about the rapture, I'm going, this has to be a joke. This nobody's really that caught up in it. And I did a TikTok and I said, I can tell you what, there isn't going to be a rapture. I'm 65 years old. Every 5 to 10 years, somebody comes out and says, I know when the end of time is coming. And I always say, you clearly didn't read the Bible because in Matthew it says, nobody knows the time, no angel in heaven, not even Jesus himself, only God. And my running joke was that I'm responsible for end times never happening because as my ritual, I get up in the morning, may pray and stuff, and I say, "Oh, by the way, I know today's the day the world's going to end," and then God has to look down and goes, "Motherfucker knows. I can't do it today."
Look, I, the whole thing is crazy, but these people have learned this from little on. I mean, they are taught from little on that they are going to be persecuted. They are going to liberals are going to ask them, "Do you believe in Jesus?" They're going to put a gun to your head and they're going to kill you if you say you believe in him.
So,
And I'm telling you, follow on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Monty Mater. She was brought up in the evangelical church in Christian nationalism. She got herself out of it. But if you listen to her, I mean, she had to memorize Bible quotes, like, you know, they believed women's place was in the home, like all this stuff. Like she was raised on it, and she was taught from little on that she was going to be asked if she loved Jesus, and if she said yes, they were going to shoot her in the head. And that's what she was raised on. Imagine being a little kid. She was also terrified of going to hell.
yeah,
But going back to the rapture, and this was the crazy thing. I saw this video multiple times. And Tizzy, the guy, or Izzy on TikTok,
Tizzy, Tizzy
he was
ends.
like, yeah. he had her, and so she was freaking out because she had heard all these videos about the rapture, and she wasn't even Christian, but she was starting to believe them.
Right.
And that was all her algorithm pushed out to her. And she was losing her mind because she thought she was going to leave her children
Yeah. No, I
because
saw
her
that one.
because her kids wouldn't be going with her. Why would you think your children wouldn't go with you?
It's a good point. That's a good point.
And I mean, there was another video. The woman was like, I told my kids, they're 6 and 8, that I was like, you're going to go to school like normal, but when you hear the trumpets, look up and Jesus will be there.
Yeah.
And then apparently, one lady said that you needed to buy new underwear because when Jesus pulled you up at some point, your clothes were going to come off
Yeah.
and they were going to land on the sidewalk, and you didn't want somebody to see your dirty underwear.
It's kind of like the old days when I was young, and mom always said, put on clean underwear in case
In
you
case
get
you're in an
hit by a
accident.
car. Yeah. In case you
Yeah.
get hit by, at that point, I think dirty underwear probably isn't the biggest priority. Some people were kind of pranking the rapture people, and they were going to Goodwill and buying clothes and then laying it out in the yard. That's
Some guy
hilarious.
took his speaker outside and it was blaring trumpets. He's like, for all my Christian neighbors. I'm like, oh my God.
You know what I found out so weird about it is I'm not a theologian. I don't know everything there is to know about the Bible, but a couple theologians came on. You go, that rapture thing's kind of a fake. It didn't come about until like the mid 1800s. Somebody pulled that out of their ass, and that's what it was. It wasn't like it came from God. It came from a guy, and people have
It's
bought
not in the
into it.
Bible.
No.
It's not a biblical thing at all. So stupid. I'm telling you, some guy sold his car.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I'm
So
not gonna need it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy?
some guy sold his car to Old Souls Group to help the kids because he thought he was going to be raptured. They were selling everything in the house. I wish I would have seen somebody in my neighborhood selling to leave for the rapture because I could have got shit for pennies on the dollars and flipped that shit.
I mean, can you believe that people were trying to get, I mean, why would you do that?
It makes you realize something. You hear people say, "How did Donald Trump get elected again?" Because of people that thought they were going to be raptured on the 23rd. This I've said it before. I said we have an epidemic of stupid in this country, gullible and stupid, and it's absolutely true.
Well, and religion has made people stupid.
Yeah, and
They have weaponized Christianity to the point where people don't know one way or the other. And I don't think a lot of these people read the Bible. I don't think they can read it. Most of them probably read at like a fifth grade level at best. The Bible is written in like, let's say, very weird wording. I mean, it's like old English, you know what I mean? Like it's like reading the Constitution. So it
right.
does take a minute or two for you to like think it through. And I think they just get spoon-fed the Bible at when they go to church.
That's exactly right. They don't read the Bible. They'll quote the Bible, but they've only quoted the Bible because somebody else told them what the Bible is alleged to have said. And this is the thing I've often said, and some people give me shit about it, but I don't fucking care. I don't like organized religion, and here's the reason. I believe in God. I guess I'm Christian in that regard, and I can believe whatever I believe, and you can believe whatever you believe, and I don't really care. I look at organized religion. Now, people are going to say, my church is okay. Okay, if your church is fine and you're doing well with it, cool. But my experiences with churches has never been good. As far as I'm concerned, these are clubs initiated and run by humans who are fallible, tend to be greedy, tend to be a little sus, as they say. And if you're in a club, I look at it this way. In the Bible, the few word things I know is the only way to God, if you're a Christian, is through Jesus, right? Didn't say a pastor, didn't say a televangelist. So if I have to go through a human to get to God, as opposed to going directly, I feel like I'm running water through a dirty pipe, you know? Whatever this guy tells me, it may be true, it may not be true. Because I've seen churches where the pastor, a Catholic church, the priest was run out because he was harassing and sexually abusing women in the congregation.
Oh yeah.
My biggest concern is you got an 80-year-old woman sitting in the front listening to her priest every day, literally every day, going in there and telling her how she can get to heaven. Then that happens and he gets run out. How does that 80-year-old person feel about spending the last 20 years of her life getting her teachings from somebody who's actually a fucking criminal?
Listen, I agree with you. I'm what they call a cradle Catholic. So from birth on, and I went to Catholic school. I went to grade school, started when I was in 3-year-old preschool, graduated in 8th grade, and then went on to 4 more years at a Catholic high school.
Hmm.
Um, and for some reason, I did not come out indoctrinated.
I get it.
And because I remember at the beginning, when I was a real little kid, everybody was like, the Bible is the word of God. So, okay, well, if that's the word of God, I'm thinking he wrote the damn thing.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
And then I find out he didn't write it. And I was like, wait a minute.
It wasn't even written in his lifetime.
Right. I'm like, so God didn't write the Bible, but it's his word. Like, how do we know it's his word? Well, we have ancient texts and stuff that have been, you know, translated. Okay, but who did the translation? Well, monks and, priests and, people of the cloth, let's say.
Right.
Okay, but aren't they just man?
Exactly.
And that was right there. I was like, like you're telling me he's a holy man just because he's what, a priest or a cardinal or a bishop or a, whatever else they deacon or, they got all these names. You're telling me they're holier than me, so I need to trust them more? But they're still man. And I've learned in history class, man is fallible. And like, look at the shit he's done.
Yeah, exactly.
So this seems sus to me. Like, this is like, I'm like, this seems really bizarre that I'm just supposed to like take this at face value. And the Gospels were not written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. They were written from people who knew them or knew of them.
Well, and when you think about cults, like the guy with the with the comet, he killed a bunch of people, and with Waco and some of these other, they're all based off of the Bible, and then they pervert the Bible and
Yeah,
do whatever they do. What it tells me is what we've seen about evangelicals and some of these culty Christian people and the Republicans. Could you ever imagine that there'd be this high percentage of people in this country that would be susceptible to a cult? I shouldn't have started a podcast. I should have said I'm a Christian and become a cult leader. I would have made
seriously.
more money in the long run.
I know I would have too, but I don't think I could have taken money from people as I was deceiving them.
See, that's where the different. If you're a decent person at heart, you couldn't do it, you know. But these people aren't necessarily decent in their souls. I'm looking at what's going on with Donald Trump now, and he's really flailing bad. I knew he would. I thought this would all come down much earlier, but it's not because the Republicans have allowed him to run roughshod. But um, he's really playing off this Christian thing. And if anybody is not Christian, it's Donald Trump. But he sees it as an opportunity to get support. I'm a Christian, never been to church, doesn't do things that are Christian. All he had to say is, I'm a Christian, and people are in love with the guy because they believe that he believes what they believe. And it's fucking ridiculous.
MAGA, some of MAGA is starting to think he's the Antichrist.
Well, I don't know that he's that, uh, but he's anti something.
Yeah,
He's a bad guy.
yeah, MAGA has a lot of MAGA is turning the tide. They're out there saying that this is not, this isn't right. Like I thought this was going to be different. You know, they've all said that they don't think he's Christian at all.
Well, we've been saying that for 10 years and they didn't believe it. They just thought and I think it goes back to what you said before. They've been conditioned to believe that the Democrats are the absolute enemy, don't believe anything they say. They're trying to tear down this country, trying to um, uh,
They want to do away
rebuke
with God.
God.
They want to do away with religion.
Right, right. They say that, and but with every narcissist, they talk a good game from a distance. They look really good. They look appealing. They look smart. I've said before too about Donald Trump. Donald Trump grabbed onto something that there's a lot of people in Trump-la-fuck land that are, people don't make a lot of money, and they felt like the government was holding them back because nobody takes any responsibility for themselves. It's the government that's holding me down. When Donald Trump steps up and says, I'm tired of the government too, I'm going to fight for you, that's the only hope they've ever seen. So they don't
Hmm.
care about the flaws or the scars or
Right.
anything. They say he's our guy because he's fighting against the very thing that's held us down. And that's all it takes. Tell
Hmm.
somebody what they want to hear the first time and they'll follow you forever.
Yeah, it's true. They felt like they found somebody understood their issues. I don't know how a
Right.
billionaire could understand how a farmer feels, but here we are.
Yeah.
And honestly, he said the other day, Trump, he's like, well, we're taking in so much money from tariffs, we're going to have to give the farmers a little help until the tariffs kick in and start working for them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and now that you bring up the tariffs, I just saw something that came in. Donald Trump has announced 100% tariffs on all pharmaceuticals coming from overseas, which is a high percentage, starting October 1st. What do you think that's about? You think Donald Trump wants Big Pharma to kick in a little money to hold Donald Trump off? I mean, the thing about it is, if they do that, 100% tariffs on pharmaceuticals, they're already expensive in this country. It's going to be to the point where people can't afford it. And there's going to be a bit of a revolt there on both the red and the blue side.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to go over well for him. Um,
No.
because when people can't get their medication or they can't get their kid insulin, they're going to do stuff that they normally wouldn't do.
Well, if it's a life or death situation, what the fuck do you have to lose? I mean, I have a niece who is type 1 diabetic, needs insulin. Um, and I know they're concerned about being able to get the insulin and being able to afford the insulin. But the fact of the matter is, this is life and death. But again, it goes back to what I said about Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not opposed to a little collateral damage in order to get his agenda across. And people have to understand that people are dying because of Donald Trump. People are dying in ICE detention centers. People are dying when they're being deported and sent to prisons. People are dying when they can't get the medical care. A lot of people are dying, and it's at the hands of Donald Trump and all those motherfuckers that support him.
True. Very true.
I mean, how far do we got to go before we say that's enough? People dying isn't enough?
No,
It's it's a sad commentary on this country and the people in it.
because there's 25% of this country that will never ever stop loving Donald Trump.
No, that's true.
I believe that 25% of his base is immovable. They'll never move. The rest of them are starting to wake up. If we join forces, we can end this quicker.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, and when you say join forces, it doesn't mean um, you need to hug them or take them to the cookout. That's not what you mean. What you mean is, it's. I'll put it to you this way. Sometimes you just got to guide people as opposed to go head up. When I was a kid, I was playing football. Okay, and I learned a lesson real quickly that I was a bigger kid, so I was on the line. I was a blocker. Okay. Now, if someone coming head on it, you got to block, you got to fight, and you got to do that. But if the running back's coming to your right and the guy in front of you is kind of veering to the left, you just kind of go, okay, go to the left. I don't have to get in this mix. I'm just going to push you off to where I know you're going to be helpful to me. And that's kind of like what we've got to do with these Trumplafucks that are now seeing the light and want to do something different. I'll never trust them. I'll never be buddies with them. But if they want to help out, give them a little nudge. What the hell?
Well, right. I mean, like, if you think about it, if we do like a whole week where nobody goes to work and we bring the country to a standstill, we need MAGA for that.
Yeah, yeah, we
And I'm
do. And
telling you, if we did that, they would change their tune in 24 hours, if not less.
well, and I think a good sign of that, a good flag that tells us that we're on the right track is the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing.
Yep.
They fire him, they bend the knee to Donald Trump. There's a huge boycott. 72 hours. This company, Disney, loses billions of dollars just so they can have an easy time doing a $6 billion merger. Well, it didn't take long for them to realize this is fucked up, this is stupid, and they put Jimmy Kimmel back on. That was a good signal to the oligarchs that don't fuck around because you may think we're nobodies, but we can break your shit.
Do you know that was the most severe backlash any company has faced in like the past decade?
And what's crazy about that is Jimmy Kimmel. I like Jimmy Kimmel. I don't watch his show because I don't watch network television, but he was the lowest rated of the national talk show host in the evening. What if it's something people really care about? Something that's important like pharmaceuticals going sky high and no the result of that could be crazy. And now that people have seen that it works, they've tasted the blood in the water. It's going to get uglier as time goes on. And hopefully, the oligarchs are recognizing that because the next time somebody, like, like I said, with this boycott of the Disney and all this with the Jimmy Kimmel thing, what we should be thinking right now and be proactive about it. Who's next?
Uh-huh.
Let's just pick them out of the crowd and fucking do it to them.
Yeah.
Change their lives, change their bottom lines.
Yeah. Because this, now that people know that that works, they're be
Yeah,
doing it more.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's going to be easier every time because
Mm-hmm.
people are going to want to be part of a successful effort like that.
Mm-hmm.
They always kept talking about the national strike. They go, yeah, we could do the national strike, but not everybody's going to do it. Well, maybe they would now after we saw millions and millions of people in 72 hours basically shut down Disney. It didn't take long.
No, it didn't. And I mean, honestly, I mean, if we did that where you got 3 to 5 million people who like stayed home and didn't participate in the economy, you would literally grind the country to a halt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You would definitely grind it to a halt. And even if somebody had to go to work, great. Don't buy gas that day. Don't buy dinner that day. Like, make sure you're not spending money that day. If you have to go to work, go to work. But just make sure you're not spending money. You're not participating in the economy.
Well, and people will say, well, if I don't spend money today, I'll just have to spend more money tomorrow. And when you do something like that, it's not about breaking them financially. It's about sending a message.
Right.
If we want to, we can shut everything down for a whole day. Keep fucking with us. We'll do it for 2 days or 5 days or 10 days. that, it's exactly what Donald Trump does when he says, I'm going to indict this person. He's not trying to just get that person like James Comey. He's trying to inform all the people around, don't fuck around with me. You do what Comey did, you're going to be in trouble. And it's all about intimidation. And we can use that same intimidation against the oligarchs and the major corporations that support Donald Trump.
And we sent a pretty decent message to Disney because they lost a lot of money in 72 hours.
And then you have the big
I mean, their
media groups.
website crashed because so many people were canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions.
Oh, absolutely. And now you have the big um, individual station groups like Sinclair and Nexstar. They're saying we're still not putting Jimmy Kimmel on. Put it this way: a week ago, nobody knew who the fuck Sinclair was or Nexstar was. They took down Disney. You think it's going to be harder to take down these individual groups? No. They exposed themselves. They doubled down, and they made a
If you
fucking mistake.
if you go to Reddit and you search your city and you put in, I think it's the Sinclair boycott in whatever city you're in, you can find lists of who advertises on that station, and then you can boycott those sponsors.
Right.
People
And
are
if you
already
don't,
putting together info.
and that's going to have an impact. I mean,
Yeah,
like I said, once we've done that with Disney, there's blood in the water. People see it, and they aren't going to think twice. When you
no,
talk about strikes or boycotts or something, people are going to jump on board because it's a popular thing to do, and we
yeah,
know it works.
yeah, yeah. People are gonna be like, let's go.
Well, Donald Trump seems to be flailing at this point. I mean, he's having a lot of problems, and he's doing
Yes.
things like James Comey or some of this other shit, or like the pharmaceuticals. He's flailing, so he's grabbing at anything to try to direct attention elsewhere. He's probably really fucked up now with this impending um, uh,
To vote in the
bill to
House,
come
yeah.
to the floor. Yeah, that's really freaking him out because this would not only destroy his political career, this would destroy him for all time, which I think
Yeah.
he's probably done already, but it'll be more realistic to him at this point. So I've always said with narcissists, when they're in a corner and there is no way out, that is when they are the most dangerous. That's when they do crazy shit. I don't know if you heard about this other crazy shit. I'm curious to what you think about this. Pete Hegseth has called in all the military leaders from all over the world, American leaders, generals, admirals, people like that. 800 of them are coming for a meeting in Washington, D.C. next week. That could be a couple of things. It could be it's never been done before. That's what's so crazy. Is it a war? Is he trying to get them to capitulate? Is he trying to cover his ass for when the military turns on the guy? I don't know what that's about, but it is freaky. And Pete Hegseth is leading the charge, which is scary enough.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that's about, honestly. It could be him trying to figure out if he can get the military to capitulate to him. It could be him wanting to meet all of those generals to see if which ones won't cave to him so he can fire them. Um,
Well, some people
I,
have said he's trying to decapitate the military, and I suppose that's possible.
I think he is because I think that's a Putin order.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. Can he be
Um,
successful at that, though? I mean, there comes a point where the military is going to say, fuck it, this has gone too far. And, when I talk to them about the military fighting back, they say, well, you got all these different people. Some of them are Trump bumpers. You don't have to worry about the rank and file. They have to take orders from their leaders. So
right.
it's the generals and the admirals and
Hmm.
the colonels and stuff. If they tell you to do something and it's going against Donald Trump, you're going to fucking do it. But if they tell you to do something against the people of this country, chances are they're going to do it. They're worker bees. They have an oath that they signed on to, but what do? You stick with the oath or you don't take a direct order. You don't have to take an illegal direct order, but now you got to get them trying to figure out, is this illegal? Is this not illegal? It's those middle people and the upper people that are going to make the final decision. And maybe
Hmm.
they're feeling some kind of way about how the military is feeling about Donald Trump and they're trying to fix something too.
That could be. I also think he may try to see if he can just declare martial law on the United States, but we're way too big and we don't have the military manpower to even do that.
No,
And I don't think if he did it, if I mean people were fucking pissed about the Jimmy Kimmel thing. You think if he comes into every city and state across this nation that people aren't going to revolt?
yeah,
I don't I don't know what he has planned, but I'm hopeful because I didn't think Jimmy Kimmel was going to be such a big deal.
I did
But
not either.
Jesus Christ, did that turn in a minute.
Well, and it's the way they did it too. Stephen Colbert, his contract isn't going to be re-upped. Donald Trump pushed him out, but he's still on until March or whatever it is, and that upset people. But when he did it to Jimmy Kimmel, it was, I'm mad at him today, he should be fired, and then the next day he was fired. And that, I think, sent a sharp message to a lot of people. Oh, fuck. It's one thing with Colbert, but Jimmy Kimmel, it wasn't even about Jimmy Kimmel. I think it was about what he did. And this is Donald Trump reacting. He's scared, so he's making rash reactions, and it's hurting him in the long run. Like pulling these people in from all around the country, that's going to make not only us stand up and take notice, but every country in the fucking world.
Yeah.
There's going to be some ramifications from this. Donald Trump will lose credibility, which is hard to imagine because he's lost a lot of credibility. But this is what they always do. They push it to the limit until it explodes in their face. And Donald Trump is getting close to that point.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's gonna go over the line and I think we're close to it now. Because he really is. He doesn't know what to do because he's got to get the Epstein thing out of the news cycle. And I think he wants Charlie Kirk out of the news cycle, but Charlie Kirk keeps popping up.
Well, and a perfect example of that is when he was being interviewed, I think outside the White House, right after he died. And he goes, "Geez, I'm sorry, your best buddy died. It's a terrible thing." And he looks at them, says, "Yeah, I'm doing pretty well now, but how about my ballroom?" That really told MAGA how much he cared about Charlie Kirk at that point, and that didn't do him any good.
No, it didn't. And MAGA was pissed about that.
I
Like
can imagine.
they were fucking pissed. Um and that yeah, it just didn't do him any favors. And he the other thing about the Charlie Kirk thing was they said there was no exit wound
That's weird.
because his bones were so strong.
Oh, please.
That was the news report. His bones were so strong.
That's Put it this way. I don't care how strong your bones are. I know a little bit about shooting because I hunted when I was younger, and the 30-06 is a pretty serious round. If that didn't go through his body, it probably wasn't a 30-06. So the question is, what was it? And why did you tell us it's a 30-06 if it wasn't?
Well,
The whole thing is just weird.
why is it the FBI can't find the bullet?
Well, presumably it should be in the body. When they did an autopsy, they should be able to pull it out.
If his bones were that strong, but that thing came out after MAGA started asking questions about where the exit wound was.
Right, right. That's the thing. When we talk about the attempted assassination on Donald Trump, the killing of Charlie Kirk, all these things that have happened, he releases the files on MLK, RFK, and JFK, and we know a lot more about it than we once did. We know nothing about these events. Nothing is released, especially about the assassination attempt. When you attempt to kill the president of the United States or the former and future president of the United States, that's a big news story.
Yeah.
Usually there's a lot of information that gets out, and the only reason information doesn't get out is because Donald Trump and the Republicans made it so it couldn't get out. So the
Mm-hmm.
question is why?
Yeah. Yep. I'd like to know that.
I'm thinking when Donald Trump takes that final dirt nap, slobbering Big Macs and shitting himself to death, that there is going to be an immense amount of things that come out about him. And what we
Yeah.
know about him now will be just a small amount, and it will be fucking crazy.
Yeah, I think it will be.
And his grandkids are going to have to think about changing their last name, a la
Yep.
the Hitler grandkids or grandnephews or whatever, because
Exactly. Yeah.
he's going to be an absolute fucking pariah when this is all said and done.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, we are going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast. Denise, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I'm glad you came back quickly. Please come back quickly again because it's always an interesting conversation, and I know that people love hearing from you. Just so we know, you don't love Candace Owens. You hate her fucking guts, just like I do. You don't support becoming buddies with MAGA, but let's use them for all they're worth. That's all you're saying. Fucking lighten up. Listen to the show. Some
Yeah.
people.
And I'm gonna tell everybody right now, I'm getting into my busy time right now with my Etsy shop, so my time might become a little more limited as we get into the holiday season here.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. We'll just, when you have time, let me know and we'll work around the schedule. I understand it's going to be busy and you got to make money for the family and stuff. So that's the first priority.
Yeah, and my shop has been steadily getting busier, so we'll see what the Christmas season holds here.
Well, let's promote the shop. I mean, everybody talks about where they are on TikTok. How can they find your shop and what tell us about your shop?
Okay, so I am on TikTok, but I am under Denise's Craft Corner is how you'll find me.
And I tell you what, I just came across it. I followed it. And all of you out there that are interested in crafts and stuff should follow it too. Go
Actually, I
on.
think it's Denise's Craft Time on TikTok. I take it back. I have an Instagram. It's Denise's Craft Corner on Instagram, and I'm trying to get my stuff up on YouTube. I haven't been able to do that yet. And my Etsy shop is Denise's Craft Corner.
So what kind of things are you selling so people know about, it, especially in these busy times? And there will be no tariffs on them either. So that's good to know.
No, no, there's no tariffs. Um, so I make a lot of different things in all honesty. Um, so right now, and you'll laugh when I tell you, but my biggest seller is toilet paper.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Please
And
explain.
yeah, so I figured out a way to put like wording on toilet paper and it makes a gag gift. So right now, my hottest seller, because it's football season, is my NFL football paper.
Wow. Really?
And it says it'll say just in case the and then whatever team. So like Packers play like and the poop emoji. It's done in the team colors. It comes in a plastic bag wrapped with ribbon, and people say it is the hit of their white elephant gifts.
Wow.
People buy it at Christmas. I have Christmas toilet paper, believe it or not. I have Christmas toilet paper. I have the Grinch on there, and he's got like stink, stink, stunk. Um, there's another one that says in case you get crap for Christmas. A jolly bunch of assholes, and there's just like Santa's butt, the reindeer's butt, snowman's butt.
Now you're not the one that prints on these things. You have a
Oh
source
yeah,
for
I
that?
am. I do it right here in my house.
You print on the toilet paper yourself.
Yeah, but you're only getting it's only on the first sheet.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's meant to just be like a gag gift. So like people have bought the toilet paper and like stuck money in the holder of the toilet paper,
I gotcha.
but they think they're only
I
getting
gotcha.
a roll of toilet paper. But the sports one seems to be the sport one and Christmas are huge. And I mean last year or every year, I usually get orders. They don't just order one. Like some lady ordered uh 11 rolls last year
Wow.
of just different NFL teams. Some lady ordered Christmas toilet paper. I think she ordered 15 or 18 rolls and she gave it to everybody at work.
Wow. That's kind of a brilliant idea when you think about it. You buy the toilet paper for X price, you print on the first couple of sheets, which doesn't take long once you set it up. You wrap it up and sell it for a profit. That's a
And
true entrepreneur.
I didn't think it would work. Like it was an idea from somebody else, and she's like, "Yeah, I used to sell it all the time." She embroidered on the toilet paper.
Uh,
She's like, "I don't anymore because it's not cost effective." She's like, "But the way you do it, you could." So I made a couple rolls and brought it to a craft show, and I sold out.
wow.
When I came home, I had a list of toilet paper I had to make for people because they ordered it and I made it and then like mailed it to them. So I put it on my Etsy store and it blew up.
Wow.
Like, and it's been going for gangbusters. I have Easter toilet paper too, that's a really good seller, and I have fall, which is not a bad seller either. I also make ornaments. So the hottest gift right now has been the Taylor Swift ornaments. I have one for every album.
How do you get around the rights of all this stuff?
So the toilet paper with the teams on it, it doesn't say Green Bay Packers or Chicago Bears.
Gotcha. It's the colors.
It's the colors and it just says Bears, Packers,
Okay.
Ravens. So it's not the copyright, it's got to be like the whole name.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I can't get the exact team color, but I get really close.
Okay.
Um,
Enough to give the sense.
right. And the Taylor Swift ornaments, she technically doesn't try to go after people that do this, that take her
Okay.
stuff. She's pretty lenient. Um, and uh, honestly, I just made the ornament for the new album. That one's been selling like crazy. People have bought the set of all 12.
Wow.
Some lady, left me a review and she's like, my daughter was in love with them. She's like, I just gave it to her for her birthday. She can't wait to put up her tree in her room because she's going to have all the Taylor Swift ornaments on her Christmas tree.
Wow.
And I glittered like, they're it's a 4-inch ball, and I put like this one would say red. She's got an album called Red,
Oh, okay.
and I put the wording on there. So I have that. I've got keychains. Keychains are a big seller. Um, I have Friends ornaments from the TV show Friends. I've got different quotes on those. Those are still a big seller. I can't believe it. I honestly can't. Those things are crazy. I make wine glasses with like glitter and epoxy, so I have to epoxy that stuff. Tumblers. I have a lot of stuff on my Etsy shop. Makeup bags.
Well, I'm going to make sure my wife checks out your stuff because she's into that kind of stuff. She has the little Cricut machine, so she's made some stuff on her own. But every time we do that, it gets so fucking complicated. I go, just buy the shit. Don't give yourself anxiety trying to figure this out every time. So check out Denise's Etsy. You see her on Instagram, YouTube. Well, not YouTube, but TikTok. Maybe get some ideas, and who knows? Maybe she has something that you want to buy, like
And my
a
link in TikTok is in my bio, so it'll take you right to my Etsy shop.
perfect. By all means, you folks check it out. Uh, Again, thank you, Denise, for the time. We'll try to work around your schedule in this busy time. We'll make sure you get back because I'm sure you're going to have some insights in some of the crazy shit we have yet to see.
Right?
For those of you listening, thanks for taking the time. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.